My family's coming out here to Sandy Creek Park in Jasper, Texas to take some family pictures for the holidays. Sometimes a lot of times we'll take the pictures and send them to Walmart printing and have a postcard, like a card made out of it, and then we'll mail that card out for the holidays. So while we're waiting for the rest of the family members to show up, I thought I would talk about an article that I posted on my blog and on the forum this morning. It's about hunting after the fact, and it touched on 3 types of animals: wild turkey, wild deer, and wild hogs. During the 1930s, Great Depression, wild turkeys and wild deer, the white-tailed deer, were hunted to extinction levels in East Texas. Some type of post-long-term disaster. I see no reason why this would not happen again. That wild turkey, whenever it lays its eggs, may lay between 12 to 18 eggs, depending on factors like a raccoon population, fire ants close to the nest, things like that. Only a certain percentage of those 12 to 18 eggs will survive into adulthood. Studies have shown that the higher a raccoon population is in the area, the lower the survival rate for egg-laying animals like ducks and wild turkeys. The raccoons will go into the nest and scavenge the eggs. White-tailed deer. White-tailed deer will usually drop twins. A lot of times only one of those twins will survive into adulthood. Does will not start, I don't think they'll start reproducing until they're like 1.5 years old. So at the most, and they only go into estrus up to three times a year, and that's between October and January. They go into estrus the first week, usually the first week of October. If they're not bred, they will go in estrus again, I think 28 days later, then estrus again 28 days later. But it's not like they go into estrus or fertile every day of the year, or not every day, every month of the year, like what humans are. Wild pigs. Wild pigs can drop, usually I've heard of anywhere from 8 to 12 piglets in a litter, depending on food conditions and habitat. That unlike deer, wild hogs, feral hogs can defend their young from predators. Coyotes pose very little threat to the hog population. So in some type of long-term disaster situation, wild hogs, feral hogs are probably going to be the #1 food source for a lot of people, mainly because they can just outbreed wild deer. Well, why do I keep saying wild deer? White-tailed deer. Wild hogs can just outbreed white-tailed deer and turkeys. It's just in the numbers. It's just in the numbers that a sow will drop a litter, and in anywhere from 8 to 10 months later, the females of that litter are ready to start breeding. They're like rats. They just keep breeding and breeding and breeding. And even though a majority of the 50 states have an open season on wild hogs, be sure to check the hunting regulations in your area. Wild hogs continue to spread. It is that you can trap them and hunt them, and they just keep reproducing. So during the 1930s and 1940s, turkey and deer were just about hunted, or were hunted to extinction levels. Meaning they were here, but the hopes of the population recovering was very slim. To help the deer and the turkey population recover from extensive hunting, Texas Parks and Wildlife brought in turkey and deer from other parts of the nation to help replace what was lost to overhunting. So that the turkey and deer population just cannot hold up to extensive hunting like that. Even rabbits and squirrels, with their number of natural predators, they just cannot, the numbers just don't allow them to be hunted in the numbers that they, like what needs to be done to sustain a given population. There was a I'm reading a book right now. It's called Life in a Medieval Village. And in that book, they talk about hogs and how hogs can basically fend for themselves. And that they would release them into an area and they would go around and root for the acorns and grubs and worms and whatever else. And the farmers didn't have to worry about the wild hogs, or their hogs, who eventually turned feral. But anyway, farmers didn't have to worry about the hogs as much as they did the domesticated livestock.